Hey everybody, it's Fresco Kino. So I hope you've been having fun working with Excel and all that data. The trick about data is you got to be able to communicate that data with charts and graphs and, make it as legible and as understandable as possible. And I know that's what you're learning. But you really got to tell a story too with that data. Now, let me tell you a little story about my friends Dick and Jane. Dick got a job at a car company. He was working as an analyst, and there was a whole bunch of places where they sold cars and car models and numbers of cars that were sold and profits and everything. So the investors said, hey Dick, we really want to see how we're doing in Germany. So can you decipher the data? And he tried to sort through it, and there was just so much data, and they wanted to see Germany and France and how different cars were selling, and Dick was just overwhelmed. So he went home that night and he talked to Jane. Jane set him straight. Jane told him, you know what you got to do? You got to create an Excel dashboard. And it looks something like this. So the next day, Dick went back to work and he told the investors, hey, you want to see how we're doing in Canada? Just click the Canada button. You want to see how we're doing in Germany? Just click the Germany button. You want to see the Paseo model and how it's selling? Oh, you want to see the Paseo against the Montana? You can see that too. You want to see the Paseo and the Montana against Germany and Mexico? Sure, we can do that. You want to look at a certain time frame? Go for it. You can even add new data to this and keep calculating a running tab, and these pivot charts will constantly update. Well, you know what happened? Dick got a huge raise. He went home, he told Jane, and he took her out to dinner. So let me show you the basics here of what Jane actually did. So Dick came home with the spreadsheet, and they opened it up on their computer, and he showed her the big mess that was there. So Jane enabled the editing, and essentially what you want to do here is you want to distill this down by using some pivot tables and pivot charts, and then connecting those pivot charts together and putting them all on a dashboard where you can control everything from there. So let's take a look. We've got two tabs here. One is data, the other one is new data. So we're going to actually just look at the basic data first and convert it into a table. So make sure that you are in the data, insert, table, and you do have headers here, so you want to make sure that the My Table Has Headers checkbox is checked, and you got your filter list now, so you know you have converted it into an Excel table. The next thing you want to do now is to create a pivot chart. So staying in the data again, let's go to Insert, Pivot Table, and we want to make a pivot table on a new worksheet. And actually what I'm going to do right now is copy this twice, because I'm going to need 3 pivot tables and charts. So I'm going to go to Move or Copy, and now I have 3 copies. So what I want to do is, carefully manage them and rename them. So I'm going to go to the first one here and click Rename, and we're going to call this one Profit by Country and Product. We're going to take our country and we're going to move it into the rows, and there you go. You've got your countries there. And now you want to take your product and move it into the columns. Okay, so here are all our different car models. And next thing we want to do is take our profit and move that into the values. Okay, so we've got all our data there. You'll notice we've got weird kind of decimal places and formatting going on. So let's select all that data, and we're going to go to the number list here and create it as currency, format it as currency, and we're actually going to reduce the decimal places. I don't think we need those. We want to kind of get rid of anything that might be just extra baggage or confusing that's on the sheet too. From this data, I'm going to insert a pivot chart. What I want to do is, well, obviously a clustered column would be really confusing here. There's just too many lines. It's all over the place. So why don't we choose a stacked column? And that really kind of narrows things down and makes it a little bit more legible of what's going on. Again, just to delete stuff that we don't need, I'm going to right click on these field buttons and get rid of those. I'm going to add a title to the chart. So let's go with a chart title, copy this chart, and I'm going to make a new worksheet, which I'm going to call the dashboard. Okay, and on that new worksheet, we're going to paste the chart that we just created. Okay, so what you want to do now is resize it, move it around. If you hold down the Alt key as you reposition it, you see it kind of jumps to different tick marks in the grid. So that might work nicely for us. And we're going to bring it down a little bit. Okay. So the next thing you want to do is go to the next sheet and we're going to rename this sheet Profit by Month. Okay, so in this one then, you want to bring in the dates and the profit. Okay, so because it's by month, what we want to do is see months as the unit here of time. And the way you do that is if you go to the Analyze tab and Group Selection, we can see the time frame that we want. I want to go with years and months, so I'm just going to delete the quarters. And now we have it nicely laid out. We can see 2013, 2014, and all the months in there. Okay, so same thing we want to do here now is insert a new chart. This is going to be a line chart. So we're going to go to PivotChart, and we're going to create a line chart for this guy and say OK. We can figure out it's by month, so I think just profit is enough. I don't think we need a legend because there's only one category here, so we can delete the legend. We can also delete, again, those field buttons. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Let's copy it. Let's go to the dashboard, and we're going to paste it. Okay, again, I'll position it. I'm going to save you guys the agony of watching me position all these, but you get the idea. So now we're going to do one more. Let's go to the last sheet. We're going to rename this sheet. So this one is going to be units sold. And I'm going to go to rename it. Okay, so in the units sold, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring the dates to the rows and the units to the values. See this one the same way as months and years. And we're looking good. So let's do another chart now. We're going to do another pivot chart here. And basically the same thing. It's going to be another line chart over time. And okay, again, we're going to delete the legend, and we're going to delete the buttons to clean things up. Then we're going to copy the chart and bring it onto our dashboard. So I'm going to do some quick, resizing. And you can fine-tune this on your own. You guys know that you can double-click on these guys. You can actually design them in different ways if you want to go for a different look. Yeah, I don't hate that. Can do that on all of them, I guess. And then you can position them and size them up. So the next thing we want to do then is with the Analyze tab, let's select the first chart again. And I'm going to insert a timeline. Okay, so the timeline is going to be the months that we specified. Okay, the next thing we want to do is insert two slicers. So again, with the Analyze tab, I'm going to do slicer here. And I want one for the country and one for the product, and say OK. And now we've got those guys. Right click, you can go to slicer settings. We don't need the heading again. It's pretty obvious that that is the products, and this guy is the country, so we can delete those to just clean things up and make it look nice. And again, if you go to the options here, we can pick a different theme, go with the dark theme. Now what we want to do is actually make this work. Right, so you'll see that with these slicer buttons, I can actually start to isolate the data here, and it's lovely. We can really kind of see each model. We want to just see Canada, but you might notice that our other two line charts are not updating. So what we need to do is right-click on the slicer, go to Report Connections, and you can see the other two pivot tables are left out in the cold here. So let's do that for all of them. Report Connections, and we're going to bring in all of the data. Let's do it also for the timeline. All of these work the same way. Okay, so now that they're all connected like that, if we bring in all of them, you'll see that they all reflect that change. We want to see just one model of car, and we got that. You want to see all of them again. You want to see a certain quarter or a timeline here. You got to make sure, obviously, that there were sales in that timeline. You may not see it. So you want to see a certain time frame in there. You can isolate the time frame to show you different levels of time in there. And again, basically anything you want. It's totally interactive, the dashboard. And the other great things that you can do with this then is, let's say, you get new data. So here's some new data, and we're going to select all this data, copy it. Let's go to the data tab, and I'm going to go to the end of it, Control End. Will take me to the end of the data, and I'm going to now paste. So now let's go back to the dashboard, and that new data, in order for it to be displayed, you have to refresh. What I want to do then is go to the Analyze tab, and under Refresh, click Refresh All. And there you go. You've just added all that data. And there are ways to bring the data in automatically into Excel. The other thing that you can do, which is really cool now, is share this. So maybe you want to save it and share it with a client in one of these countries so that they can actually see this data transformed by the dashboard in any way they want to do it. Your knowledge of pivot tables, pivot charts, and just kind of putting everything together will allow you to create this attractive dashboard that really helps tell a story and also is interactive. So I hope you have fun doing this assignment, as much fun as I had creating it.